The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised.
Talk about Daniel Versus.
His last name is Versus.
His whole name is Damn Daniel Versus.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. My name is JD, and I am joined by my two good friends, the first of which being Mr. Kyle.
Yep, it's me.
And Matt is also here.
I'm also me and here.
Well, that's good. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, thank you.
So we are talking about a little show called Dan Versus, a show that is very close to Kyle and I's heart. Matt, was this your first time watching this show?
It was. I remember when it was airing, but I just never got around to watching it. The only things I watched on the hub at the time were MLP and Aquabats.
Oof.
Yeah, so, hey kids, do you remember what the hub was?
So what is now and what used to be, because I think before it was the hub, it was Discovery Family, and then they rebranded it back to Discovery Family after the hub. Right?
It was the Discovery Kids channel, then it became the hub, now it is Discovery Family.
Right.
Thank God we're on Audacity.
Yeah.
Hub was Hasbro's channel.
Yeah, I guess it was it was co-funded by like Hasbro and Discovery. So like it had a bunch of shows on there that were based on like their your typical, Transformers, G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, Littlest Pet Shop, that sort of thing. But then they also had like, some original productions on there, like previously mentioned Aquabat Super Show was one of them, and then there's this one, Dan Versus, which is reason why we're covering it is because it's celebrated its 10th anniversary recently.
Yeah. So I think Kyle was the reason I started watching this show. I'm pretty sure he suggested it to me. But, yeah, Dan Versus came out this time in 2011, 10 years ago, and it's a special little show. I'm going to put it that way.
It is a surprising show.
I'm just going to say, literally all you would have to do is add swear words to this show, and it would be for adults, because I don't understand how this is a show for children.
Yeah. Apparently this was originally conceived as a live action show, but I guess they diverted into doing it to animation just because they were able to get away with a lot more. But yeah, I guess it was originally supposed to, like, they'd pitched it to like Adult Swim and some other like more mature networks before they ended up on the hub.
Yeah.
The other funny thing is, I don't know if you guys have seen, but they originally pitched it with like a Family Guy art style.
Oof.
I think I recall that.
They knew it was gonna get picked up or something with the shitty art style, so they changed it. Like they did it on purpose.
Hey, more power to them. It seemed to have worked.
Yeah. But yeah, basically the conceit of this show, and it's pretty much the same in every episode, is it just starts with kind of a cold open of the main character, Dan, being inconvenienced by something. He screams to the sky that thing that is annoying him. The title card comes up saying Dan Versus whatever. And he spends the next 20 minutes of the show enacting revenge on whatever it is. It could be a person. The first episode, he's trying to get revenge on the state of New Mexico.
Yeah.
There's just all kinds of just ridiculous, stupid things that Dan is inconvenienced and or enraged by, that he feels the need to get revenge on, and he always ropes in his giant. I don't want to say Chris is dim-witted, because he's actually smart. He's just easily manipulated
he's just
into helping Dan.
Yeah, he's very keen on eating and and loving his wife. Basically, that's its main two characteristics.
His license plate is pushover.
Yeah, oh, is it? I didn't notice that.
So Kyle, since I feel like you probably have the strongest feelings for this show, why don't you like tell us why this show appeals to you?
He's one of the characters that I guess I identify with.
Shit.
Petty
Which one?
revenge and anger. Because if you may have not noticed, those are very much my characteristics.
I've seen Kyle yell at random people on the street.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, especially more so because I think Dan Versus takes place like right around the area where me and Kyle live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is surprisingly like very LA centric, like, and it makes you know that.
Yeah, a lot of the places that they talk about I've been to.
Like all the street names are like all the same too.
Yeah. No, I really like Curtis Armstrong as a voice actor, and that's another reason why I like this show so much.
Yeah, so Curtis Armstrong, who's most well known in live action for playing Booger in Revenge of the Nerds, and then also doing Snot on American Dad.
Who is mostly just that character.
Yeah.
A little more pathetic, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing we should mention too is that that the co-creators of the show, Dan Mendel and Chris Pearson, so obviously just going off the names, the two main characters are based on them.
Right.
But I think they went on record as saying that they very specifically based on their most negative characteristics, which I think is a very fun, kind of way to, be self-deprecating, but in a productive way, I guess.
Right.
Like an entertaining television show about it.
I think from what I've read, though, that the roles are reversed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it really should be Chris versus.
Yeah.
I don't think Chris versus has like the same punch.
No, not really.
But yeah, so like from that conceit, you could probably make that pretty silly and pretty kid friendly, but man, there's like in just the first handful of episodes, Chris and Dan run afoul of a cult. Dan flirts with casual animal murder.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk of arson. This
Dan's
is like
jail a couple times.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Dan's been to jail a couple of times.
Yeah, they go to jail in like the first episode, and he's like not even fazed by it.
No, he's saying like, oh, the cells here are much nicer.
And I just love how like throughout the series, like anytime someone tries to like mace or pepper spray Dan, it doesn't even affect him because it's happened so many times.
Yeah, he's like built up a tolerance to it.
Yeah.
There's actually one other thing I wanted to bring up because I know Kyle would be able to definitely answer this one. Was when I was reading just about the production on it, they were talking about specifically Dan's characterization. I guess you mentioned the thing about it potentially, the two roles being switched from the creators, but apparently as Dan is written on the show, it's very much influenced by Evan Dorkin, who I know you're a fan of. I mean, does that kind of ring true?
Where'd you hear that from?
I was just reading that like on Wikipedia. Like, I guess it was like from an interview that they did with them. Like, they were talking about how specifically Dan's soft mockery was influenced by Evan Dorkin. Like, specifically, the Dorkin strip, I guess.
Well, I can see that. What is it? Eltonville Club. There's a lot of just toxic behavior, so I could see that from there.
Sure.
Dork is kind of like a anthology that he does, where it's just a bunch of different stories. So there's nothing really I can pinpoint in that one that it seems like, but it's definitely. I would say it's Eltonville Club, probably.
Okay, yeah, just because I'm not that familiar with his work, but I know that you are just because me and JD got you all those Evan Dorkin books for your birthday. So
they're great. Yeah.
Yeah. The show actually won an Emmy too, which is pretty crazy. Like, I mean, I think of all shows like on that network I'm sure there were other shows on the network that took it, but it got for outstanding directing, which was pretty neat.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I'm not overly surprised because, like, yes, this show is like very not for children. I would say,
Yeah.
but it is very smartly written a lot of the time. Even for how dumb some of the plots get.
It's in the same vein as a regular show in a sense, where you're like, shit, this isn't for children, but it
Yeah,
kinda is.
absolutely. Well, I mean, and there's another show that was originally pitched as trying to be like an adult show too. I mean, you go back and you look at the short that one was based on, the 2 in the or 3 in the AM PM. Like, yeah, no, that's, you know, way more. That's what ended up. We talked about this when we reviewed Close Enough. Like, yeah, basically they made it as kid friendly as possible, but they were still able to get away with like a bunch of stuff like in the show proper. But then they were finally able to make a show that was closer to I guess the original vision of what a regular show would have been. So I wonder if they ever given the chance, if Chris and Dan would ever, because I know that, you know, there's obviously still like a lot of fans for this show that would like to see it return in some fashion, but or, you know, and I wonder if maybe even a spiritual successor could work in the same way as kind of like Close Enough did for regular show.
Maybe.
I think he's trying to, because he keeps asking people on the Facebook page to review Amazon, kind of give it a buzz or something like that. So I think he's really trying to, but who knows? It's been, like you said, 10 years.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to ask about the Facebook because once I watched the show, I went through the Facebook and just kind of checked it out. And so I don't know, has the Facebook been active this whole time, or did it just sort of pick up one day and it just has been active since then?
So I want to say back in like 2014 or something. It's around like 13, 14. He was just like, "Hey guys, I'm using this Facebook page now," or something. He stole the password or something and changed it.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty funny, and then he's been basically doing like updates every day,
Wow.
on just different shit. So it's pretty funny how that worked out.
Okay, so if that was around 13, 14, so that would have been right around the time when the show got canceled then. So there's barely any time at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So then he's just been keeping that page up since then. That's cool. Because I was wondering if it was somebody just some rando hacked it and was doing it in character or something, but then I was looking through the posts, I'm like, no, okay, I'm actually seeing like, you know, production, like they had there was I saw a deleted scene. It was the episode with the barber. Apparently that whole they had a whole nother voice actor lined up for that. It was Debo from Friday. It was originally the voice actor for that, but he was talking about racism from the network prevented them from wanting to portray people of color like in, you know, a negative light or something like that, even though there's plenty of characters in the show that they don't do that with, like, or something like that. Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite deleted scenes was I think it was the Thanksgiving one or something.
Yeah.
And they were playing football, and I forget what happened, but Chris got tackled by one of his family members, and Dan starts laughing, and he talks to his father-in-law. He's like, "So much for grandchildren." Like, fuck.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Well, anyway, so just to double back on the Emmy thing, it was just because I saw what it was up against, and that was what made it even more surprising, because it was up against, well, I mean, you know, maybe Penguins of Madagascar, you know, not much competition, I don't think, but the Kung Fu Panda series, but then also Legend of Korra, which is incredible that it beat out, because, yeah, you would think, like, you know, for a show like an Avatar show, like, it would have just taken it outright, but no, it beat it at least in 1 year, 2013, I guess the last year.
I guess it really depends on which season of Korra it was.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. Can't keep track of when all that shit came out. But
no, I mean, I feel like that Emmy would be deserved anyway, because, like I said, I mean, the show is like very well put together. I mean, the animation isn't anything great. It's pretty puppet rigged.
I would definitely say a step up from, because kind of like what Kyle mentioned, like if it was originally pitched as having, like, you know, your standard adult cartoon look, like, put it this way. If the show was completely the same writing wise and everything, but it had like a Family Guy-esque style, or like a style, I don't know that I would have dug it as much. just because an appealing style goes a long way. And I'd say that because I believe it was Chris Battle who's worked on a bunch of other great designs on other shows.
Chris Battle's a really good artist. I think I follow him on Twitter.
But I mean, these character designs are actually very appealing. So I would say not to sell it too short. But I mean,
I kind of brought this up in our group chat the other day. I like the art style for this show, but I think it doesn't have a lot of consistency. And I mean that in the sense that I feel like Dan, Chris, and Elise are like, they look like they belong together, but literally every other character they run into look like they're in a completely different style.
Well, there's difference. Most of the like background characters don't really look that well, but then there's like the hippie crunchy. He fits their world pretty well, and like the girl from Bigrophile looks pretty. Yeah, there's different characters that look like they fit.
Hortense.
Yeah. Well, I really noticed this. It was the Dan versus the gym. I noticed that the trainer has way thicker outlines than the main character, and it's really unsettling when they put them next to each other.
I feel like that one works in context though, because it's revealed that that's like a robot. So,
well, it's not just that one. It's not just that. I feel like that's happened with other characters. It's just that one really stuck out to me because his character design looks a lot more exaggerated, and I think that's my issue with a lot of the background characters. They have a lot of like very odd shapes, a lot of really exaggerated designs, whereas like the main characters I would say are pretty normal for the most part.
Yeah.
But you'll just have all these like weird head shapes, weird eye positions for things, and varying like line thickness on them, whereas the main characters, they have pretty thin outlines for the most part, and are pretty standard design wise.
Sure,
like not too exaggerated. They look pretty normal. So it's just that contrast. It's just kind of weird.
Well, I mean, when you factor in that they're your main characters, so they need to look appealing, and then basically Dan is out to get, or everyone else in the show is out to get Dan, or he thinks so. So they would make sense that they would all seem to not quite fit in.
Right. And that is kind of another thing about this show, is that this show likes to bounce between Dan's outrage being justified and unjustified, because there are a few instances, like I said, the episode about the gym, where someone is outwardly antagonistic to him, so you're kind of on his side why he would be so upset with them, where there's some other ones where just kind of like, maybe he's just taking it a little too far.
Yeah, because Kyle, you were saying that you weren't really that big a fan of the episodes where it was necessarily too much in favor of Dan, right? Because you were more like into like Dan having an overreaction over pithy little things.
Well, it's good to have him be the antagonistic one,
right?
Like with the neighbors and stuff. It's fun to watch him be an asshole when they're like just so nice. But when someone's being like super mean to him and like on purpose, that's where it's like I didn't really like those episodes. Like I think the Girl Mafia one I didn't really care for, because they were like constantly either humiliating him or like doing something like that. I just didn't care for those certain episodes.
Right. Okay, well, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I would definitely say that, to this show, the show's strengths definitely lie in kind of, when Dan is being the antagonistic one, because of course that's, the stuff that you came there to see, that he's the central character, and it's fun to see him kind of just have these outrageous reactions to like things, happening around him or happening to him and stuff. And I mean, and some of these reactions, I mean, like the thing is, they start out really strong. I was originally going to keep a list of like all the shit that he did throughout the show, but like 2 episodes in, I get to blow up New Mexico with a flying saucer, and I'm like, oh man, that's. And I don't know that they really. I don't know that they really topped that one like for the rest of the show. They do some other outrageous shit though, like blew up an animal shelter, but only after releasing all the animals. Blew up a car dealership. There's a lot of dynamite in this show. There's a lot of explosives.
there's an entire Home Depot for dynamite.
Yeah, and they pass it off as just like this normal thing to have. Like
it's hardware and explosives.
That's what's kind of weird is there's like a thin line between like fantasy and reality in this show.
So that was something that really surprised me going into this show because again, this was my first time watching through any of it. I don't even remember that I caught like any little bit of it like before this. Like I've seen screenshots and stuff, and but anyway, so I was really surprised when I saw, exactly, like this show can get very fantastical at times. I mean, shit, that first episode is about it was Dan versus the Wolfman, right? And
there's a Wolfman, there's a mummy, there's a dinosaur.
Yeah, so like, but I was just kind of thinking it like first, like for the episode, I was like, okay, very clearly there's no actual Wolfman. It's going to be like a big misunderstanding or whatever. And it's like, nope, it is the Wolfman. It's just a fucking Wolfman, and he's just and that Wolfman turns out to be the clerk at the explosive store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that guy shows up. I feel like that guy shows up a lot.
Yeah, you get other outrageous shit, like you get the mummies, you get like the cults, you get the Sasquatches, you get all that types of shit, like curses and ninjas and stuff. Oh, that was the other thing too. I was very surprised by Elise's character because I kind of just of course thought, oh, she was just gonna be like this wet blanket character that's gonna like try to ruin Chris's time with Dan and stuff. And it's like, no, Elise actually has like a lot of screen time, and her whole deal was not what I was expecting.
Yeah,
like her being like an ex-ninja and being like a high.
She's part of a shadowy government
operative
organization.
assassin, like that goes to like Russia and like upends like governments and shit. Like
Elise like has some consistency of what she is, but she has a lot of knowledge of whatever the episode needs her to have knowledge of. If it's like some weird like government secret stuff.
It was kind of giving me vibes of like in Phineas and Ferb, kind of like how the B plots are always with the Perry and Perry the Platypus.
It's a lot like that, honestly.
And not that they do it to that degree, because it's not every episode that they bring up any of that stuff, but they bring it up often enough that it's worth comparing.
I think the main difference is I'm pretty sure Elise has killed people.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, no, she was it just turned out being actually like a real fun character. Her parents too, like because even like her mom is like has a secret double life too.
It's like a head of the mafia, which is weird because they spent an entire episode trying to convince the cops that Elise's dad is part of the mafia.
Yeah.
Oh my god, but yeah, it like just all the characters are really fun. Like you get Dan, who is just like this like misanthropic, angry little man, and Chris is a good counterbalance to him. Because over the course of the show, Chris is kind of the pushover character, but it's nice to see when he actually does push back against Dan, where he kind of puts his foot down. To kind of have that growth from him.
Yeah, totally. There was... Oh, yeah, what were we going to say, Carl?
I was going to say the first episode I saw was the Wolfman one, and that's what really sold me on the show. For the show's premise and everything. Because, I don't know, he goes through all that stuff, and it takes like 3 months.
Oh, right. Because they got to wait for like the full moons.
Yeah. It takes like 3 months to go through it, and then the revenge is just so fucking petty that it's funny in its own sense. And I mean,
he spent months on this.
He even makes the guy bleed too. And
yeah,
it's just
like. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
I was.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, like, this show pretty much tells you exactly what it is up front when after they hit the Wolfman falling back to his apartment. There's a trail of red stuff going up. And Chris is like, "Is that blood?" Dan's like, "I don't know, taste it."
Oh God.
Chris gets down, tastes, is like, "Yeah, that's blood." Oh God.
There's a surprising voice cast on this, like not necessarily for the main characters, even though I realized way too late that Chris is voiced by Dave Foley, which was a nice surprise. Like I was like thinking halfway through watching Dan Versa, I'm like, his voice sounds so damn familiar, and I was trying to pick it out without looking it up, and then I finally looked it up, and I was like, fucking Dave Foley, and I was like, oh my God, of course it is. Like,
yeah, so you've got Curtis Armstrong as Dan, Dave Foley is Chris, Elise is played by Paget Brewster, who some of you may know is she's voicing Della on DuckTales right now, and I know her mostly from Community.
Right, yeah.
She's done all kinds of stuff.
Well, and I was mostly referring to just like the background voice cast on this, because you've got like your who's who of like the most the most voice actors are on this show.
Yeah,
like,
Tom
just
Kenny,
all the ones
Tara Strong, Greta Lyle,
John
Jeff
DiMaggio,
Bennett, John DiMaggio. The who's who of every typical voice actor is in this show.
Mark Hamill's in there twice.
Yeah. John McGinley shows up to be Imposter Dan.
John McGinley, yeah, he's like my favorite one on there because he does such a great job as like the fake Dan. And it was funny because I think the second episode he's in, Elise says something exactly like Dr. Cox does on Scrubs.
That's funny.
Like she goes, "So," and like I was like, "Oh, that's funny," because yeah. Well, that was the other thing too, was that because Dave Foley is on the show, and I remember Dave Foley was on a few episodes of Scrubs too.
Yeah, it was
a fun little reunion there.
I just remember, if I remember right, Zach Braff's character absolutely hated him for some reason.
Yeah, I think
just he was like too cheery or something.
Yeah,
so I think he was like a grief counselor or something.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, good shit. But
Scrubs is a good show.
Scrubs is a good show. I should watch it again. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just like I feel like every time I feel like I got a beat on this show, it would throw me just another just weird thing Dan would want revenge against. And it's more or less the same formula every episode, but like because of the varying degrees of like what stupid thing is Dan gonna be mad at next, it keeps it fresh almost every time.
Yeah. Plus, they have fun with like your typical like kind of tropey episodes too. Like there's an episode that takes place as like a western. There's an episode that's like a detective like noir film.
I like that one.
Yeah, you got your episodes that are kind of like that too. Yeah, and then but for the most part, the plot of the show is pretty much like what is on the tin. But I mean, they do just enough like to not make it seem too repetitive. Like even though Dan's kind of like, I mean, he's not a one note character, but I mean he is who he is. But I mean, it's never unentertaining to watch him do what he does throughout the course of the show. It doesn't ever get uninteresting.
And Dan stays interesting to me because like he's not just an angry little gremlin man. He's also like really intelligent. Like I forget what episode it is, but it's like Chris is like, Dan has like a weird collage of knowledge that you wouldn't know he has. So he like leans back.
Oh yeah,
Dan, who carved Mount Rushmore? And Dan just rattles it off. And Lisa's like, okay, well, where is it? He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a fun bit.
Oh, so in the episode where he gets revenge on the Shakespeare dinner theater, he's like really enthusiastic about Shakespeare and just like can quote it offhand. He's just like he's mostly just mad about like how bad the performers are.
Yeah, because that was the funny thing too, is because his whole thing about that episode was the reason why he was getting revenge is because they are not performing Shakespeare well enough, because apparently he's so like knowledgeable of the source material.
Yeah. And another thing, and it's I found it very strange that this is like one of the real world things that are in the show, is that Dan has a very clear Ramones poster on his wall.
He does for a bit, and then they replace it with something else. Yeah. I'm wondering if
season.
legal got to it or something. Or like, no, don't put that in any more episodes.
But that was cool.
Because he has like a fake like Zeppelin poster too, and I think they changed that as well.
Ah,
But it's still a fun little background thing.
yeah, I liked it. It made me laugh. But yeah, I mean, you get episodes where like even Elise is kind of in on Dan's plan, and those are really fun when she's like involved.
I would say that might be my only kind of thing that I don't really like about the show is that it's not, and I get it, I get why it's not, but I would like if the show were a bit more consistent with Dan and Elise's relationship, because you'll get to episodes where they are like at each other's throats, and then you'll get it to other episodes where they are learning to be friends over, you know, having revenge against the same thing, and then other episodes where it's like, oh, they're actually just kind of, you know, bonding over the shared experience and stuff.
Yeah,
but like they hop around between those episodes so frequently that it's like, you know, inconsistent. I mean, I get it; it's a kids show; it doesn't need to have continuity, so to speak.
Well, and that's another thing. This show has like a surprising amount of continuity.
I feel like once it hits season 2, then they start having the callbacks to season 1 stuff, but like throughout season 1 they don't really call back to anything that happens within that season, but then like seasons 2 and 3 they kind of call back to the other stuff too.
Because like there's a second episode where they go up to Canada and the avalanche they caused in an earlier episode is still a thing. I like the gag where every time they go on a stakeout they get coffee and Dan hates coffee so much to the point that like I think the third or fourth time Chris gives him tea instead and he gets pissed off about it. It's like, how are you supposed to have a stakeout with coffee and donuts?
The thing with Elise, though, I just feel that she just serves them when it serves her purpose. Like the bank thing, she needed money herself, so she helped.
Right. Yeah.
Like I think the only time. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
I was just gonna say, I think she does it just out of like almost selfishness, where she needs to handle something herself too.
Yeah, and I guess that's
for sure.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe like I feel like maybe the relationship stuff that they have is like, you know, it's genuine, but like, yeah, I guess she is kind of, you know, the highest ranking operative in like a shadowy assassination organization, so she could just be using it to her own odds and ends. So I guess that,
I mean, I like it when it's not that Elise like understands what Dan is angry about and wants to help, but I do like it like when they both need different things, but what Dan needs to do, like it aligns for both of them. So like I do like the bank heist episode where like Elise needs to get in to like transfer funds to get like this world-ending virus from these, I'm gonna say quotey fingers, Russians. It's not Russia, but she just does. She lets them rob the bank so she can get in there and transfer the funds. I like that she keeps Dan around while her parents are around to get rid of them. Even though he's like, you have to be polite and no arson.
Yeah.
Again, there's so much arson in this show. Like they burn so many things down.
They blow them up. They burn them down.
Like the Thanksgiving episode, like Dan like spends the entire episode like threatening to burn Elise's parents' house down, and then like through no fault of his own, the house burns down. Oh shit!
All over his was it a deviled egg recipe?
Yeah, Elise's mom was trying to get his deviled egg recipe, so they were pretending to be nice to him. And then, like, it's really interesting when Dan actually shows genuine concern or care for something. Obviously, like, there's a couple episodes where he clearly has a thing for Hortense, who works at the burger restaurant. But the one thing I thought was really, like, nice and, like, felt really sincere is that in the early episode where he tries to blow up the animal shelter, he ends up adopting a cat, a very raggedy ass looking cat. Mr. Mumbles, who is a girl. And Mr. Mumbles is just like a very prominent character from there. It's almost like every episode they show up at least once.
Right, and then there's like that. I believe it's in season 3. There's that episode where it's Dan versus parents, I think it's called, and then he was trying to like prove that these parents are unfit to be parents, but then he actually ends up like trying to adopt a kid himself to show them that his method works and stuff. But he actually like builds up a genuine camaraderie with the kid and wants to like legitimately adopt him and stuff. And
yeah,
there's that.
So that's another thing where it makes it, Dan doesn't get stale as a character because he does show that he has care for these things. He does care for Chris, even though he like shits on him pretty much all the time. But so Dan has all these nuances to his character that like in any other show they would just make them the one note characters getting revenge on anything. But he does have these layers that keep his character interesting. Well, I guess like out of all the things Dan decides to get revenge on, what would you guys say is your favorite?
Kyle, do you have like a specific one in mind that you would say?
I mean, I really like the werewolf one. I'd have to look at a list of episodes, honestly. I just rewatched it, but I would have to...
Yeah, I would have to kind of look at the list too. If I had to like think off the top of my head, shit. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I feel like the quality is just like pretty consistent across the board. So I don't know. It's kind of, and especially because this is my first time watching it, so kind of hard to make like a total concrete decision on it.
Yeah, sure.
I think maybe the New Mexico episode, just because of how ludicrous the concept of having revenge against an entire state is, and then by the end of it, they find a fucking flying saucer and then blow up all New Mexico. That maybe that one.
Yeah.
I like the one with the anger management, and when he goes revenge against the demon boss.
Oh, that one's fun.
Those are pretty fun.
Dan versus the temp agency or something, or Dan versus the office or something?
Yeah. I think it was just the boss.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
that was like forced to get a job.
Yeah, but he ends up being great at that job too.
Yeah.
Which is it's so weird. Like Dan does not have a job for the most of this show, and like you wonder how he pays his rent.
Yeah, well, they show him like scrounging up change at like the fucking fountains, like at the park and stuff. But I'm like, damn. I was about to say, yeah, because I'm like, he lives in like actual LA or like the LA area, and it's like fucking the price of living in California even 10 years ago was like really fucking steep.
Even in the shitty part of town.
Yeah, and he lives in a shitty part of town, and he lives in a very shitty apartment. So which is
kind of confusing to me because I felt like they referenced that Dan and then like Chris and Elise all lived within like relatively close to each other. Like I feel like they said that they live in the same neighborhood, but it's like, I don't know, like Chris and Elise seem like they live in the suburbs, whereas Dan like very much lives downtown somewhere.
Maybe it's just across the wrong side of the tracks.
I don't know, man.
That's kind of how LA is, though. Like you have the main part of the city, and it's like the main street, and then there's like suburbs in the next street over.
Yeah. Okay. No, I can vouch for that.
Okay, like I'm from the middle of Ohio, so that's not how our cities are set up. But if that you guys, that's how LA set up. So I'll say it's genuine then. Honestly, like you guys are saying, there's like a lot of really good, lot of different good plots here. Though I think thinking about it, just because I watched this one yesterday, I honestly really like the one where Dan tries to ruin Hortense's wedding. If only because I feel like Dan is like doing it for a genuine reason, but
yeah,
it's like he's still being a dick about it. But like, I like that he's like he genuinely cares about her, and he's like trying to stop her from marrying this really old dude. But in the end, he has to like just accept that, like, you know, she has to go off and be happy with her life, and he has to just be okay with that. But even though he's like, he'll probably die, and then we'll be together after that, because he has a heart attack at the wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did like that they followed up on him and Hortense though, because that was kind of a fun thing to see happen in that first Burger Pile episode.
Yeah, which is weird because like I don't know how old anybody is in this show. Because like
Well,
I
Dan-
imagine like
Dan actually has an age. It shows on his driver's license he was born in 1975. And I think Hortense is like 16, 18.
Oh, really?
yeah, because
Yeesh.
that's what was weird because I always imagined like Dan and Chris like at least 30, at least. Whereas I saw Hortense as like 18 at most. So
Yeah,
the fact that they like kind of hit it off was like a little creepy.
Kind of in character though, I'd imagine.
38 years old.
Yeesh.
Oof. But then like she comes back and she feels like she's aged 10 years even though it's probably been like a month.
Yeah. But see, that's why I think it's stupid to give characters like birthdays and ages and stuff. Like, it's just, it's unneeded in a sense. Because like right now he's probably fucking mid 40s.
Like,
Yeah.
Like that's sort of the only instance that like I really considered how old they were. Most of the time I don't give a shit.
Because I mean, it's the same. Like, imagine giving Goofy an age, or like, you know,
Yeah,
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
Doesn't
you
work.
just kind of generally assume, given the characters' mannerisms and actions and kind of their build and, you know, their voice and everything, you just kind of get a general idea of like, oh, this is a kid, or this is like a teenager, this is an adult, this is like an elderly person, like.
right.
Because I would age Dan as like mid 20s almost. That's how I would see him.
I was seeing him around like maybe 28, 30.
Yeah, like right around our age now.
Yeah. So I
Which
don't
is
know.
weird because like Chris is between jobs a lot too because he does a lot of temp work, but then he's got a nice fucking house.
Well,
Yeah.
I chalk that up to Elise working for the government and having probably like a bomb ass paycheck.
Yeah.
I just love the first time Elise's parents show up at their house and his dad is just constantly asking him how unemployment's going.
Yeah. Oh boy.
You gotta love your in-laws questioning your job choices. I say
Yeah,
not
yeah.
from experience at all.
Oh, yeesh.
Oh man, but no, I mean this is a really great show. If you haven't watched this, I think all of us could firmly say it is a great watch, and you should do so.
It's a hidden gem since it's on a shitty network.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's on Amazon Prime if you have Amazon Prime, it's out there. That's how I watched it.
Also on Tubi, that's where I watched it.
The fuck is Tubi?
Yeah, I said that too, but Tubi. Tubi.
Oh, I think our
and they-
PlayStation has that and it won't let me uninstall it.
Oh, but yeah, it's just like it's kind of like Crackle. I guess it's just like it's full of like free shows and movies and stuff. But yeah, it's on there as well, and that's where I watched it. And they have it in like 720, so
Nice.
that was very handy.
Nice.
But yeah, no, definitely, yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. Yeah, it's a fun show.
I like it.
Yeah.
Kyle, well, I guess here's another funny thing. If there's anything you could get an outlandish revenge on, what would you guys want to revenge on?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't have the hate in my heart for that. I'm sure Kyle does. Kyle, what's the number one thing?
That's situational. I haven't been wronged yet, so I can't give a answer.
Nothing you'd want to like stare and scream up at the sky.
Not at least to have a record of.
Right.
I gotta say, probably not me either. I don't get mad enough to swear revenge on things most days.
It's the Ink and Paint Club versus the animation industry.
Yeah, let's do that. We can't murder or burn anything down though.
No, but we can do something very petty for revenge,
Hell yeah.
like Dan.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, if you have seen this show, listeners, let us know what you thought about it. What your favorite revenge plot was. If you haven't watched this show, then I highly encourage you to do so. I don't feel like we spoiled enough to ruin this show for you. You know, it's very funny. It's very well written. It's very crazy. I think anyone would have a good time with this. Like I said, it was put on a channel for children, and it is not for children.
Yeah.
I'd say it's at least for teenagers and up from there. Well, I think that'll do it for us today. Thank you everybody for listening. Be safe out there, and we'll catch y'all again next week.
Later.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the show. You can also jump in our Discord to keep up with the conversation. The Ink and Paint Club podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. Links, as always, are in the description. We'll see you next time.